welcome back to my channel. If you are new here and like the video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button for more content. Thank you for watching. Hello everyone, again I apologize once more of the super late update. I actually have school that just started back up, so I am struggling to juggle all of that because I do have more classes than I did last semester, so I'm still trying to get used to my new schedule and it does not give me much editing time whatsoever. For now, I will be doing updates once a week very strictly because I have much more hardcore classes this semester than last. I will of course let everyone know when or if I have to go and start uploading once every other week, which means 2 updates a month. That sucks just thinking about that. So I'm gonna try my hardest to make it once a week, yeah. Okay, so this is kind of time skip. I'll just let you know that angst. Just know it's a little angsty. The air grew still in the wide room, the chattering among workers and customers silenced with a simple shout. Give me all your money! Hinata immediately shoved his younger sister behind him and crouched to the ground with both her and Kageyama following his actions. There was no cover. They were out in the open, ready to be killed. Hinata and Kageyama have been together for over 7 years now. During the off-season time, they would live in their shared house, but more times than not, the house was empty. Luckily, Hinata's younger sister, Natsu, volunteered to occasionally go to the house and clean up and get rid of dust before they returned. Wow, Natsu, you did really well. He set his suitcase down, taking in the sweet scent of his home with the setter in the kitchen making lunch. I was half tempted to paint the whole house. Paint? He raised his eyebrow at the girl. Yes, let's face it, your taste in home decor is horrendous. Hinata's jaw dropped. That hurts. Hey, Sho. He walked over with the apron tied around his waist and leaned down, placing a passionate kiss and embracing him. It had been ages since they last saw each other. Ugh, get a room. The smaller giggled, truly amazed at how time had passed. His sister was in high school. It felt like only yesterday she was a small child while he was the one in high school. How time had passed. Well, come on, let's get ready. Ready for what? Well, I got free tickets to the amusement park, so why not go? After lunch, and aren't you tired from your trip? That was more than likely an idiotic question. Hinata had an inhumane amount of stamina, plus, he more than likely slept the entire trip. Nah, I'm fine. He ran to his room to drop his things off and Natsu whispered to the raven. Did you get it? He nodded, taking a quick glance to see if his lover was coming back yet. Seeing the close was clear, he quickly took out a small box and flipped it open, showing Natsu the ring. She gasped and jumped up and down. It's perfect! Oh my gosh, when are you? He shoved the box back into his pocket, hushing the younger. Be quiet, or you'll find out. It's about time you did this anyways. I've always viewed you as another brother. This will make it real. She used that same charming smile her older brother would use. He smiled, glad to hear her opinion on all of this. Hinata came running down for lunch, and it wasn't long until they were out the door, walking towards the amusement park. Oh, wait! We need to run to the bank. That way we can bring back souvenirs. Good call. Your house is so bare, it's hard to look at. You're always so harsh. He whined, but felt immediately better, feeling Kageyama's fingers slip into his. You know she is just teasing. I know. He giggled while the teller opened the door to the bank for both tangerines to enter before going in himself. Jeez, this line is ridiculous. She whined, wanting to get to the fun already. Don't worry, it might be a bet, but we are definitely going today. He chuckled, seeing her mood do a 180. It reminded him of a certain owl. The building was loud, full of chatter and laughter. It was full of life, which was beautiful. Hinata studied the decor, which he should probably take notes if he wants to save a nagging lesson from Natsu. Nothing could have prepared them for any of the following events. The air grew still in the wide room, the chattering among workers and customers silenced with a simple shout. Give me all your money! Hinata immediately shoved his younger sister behind him and crouched to the ground with both her and Kageyama following his actions. There was no cover. They were out in the open, ready to be killed. His sister grabbed the hem of his shirt with her trembling hands. It's going to be okay. He whispered so quietly, she barely even heard it. The cashier began arguing with the robber, a truly idiotic move. Everyone knew if they were encountered with an armed robber, they must comply. That was common sense. Screams erupted the building with a loud gunshot bouncing off the walls. He had killed an innocent person. They miraculously were able to scoot back to the wall without the robber noticing. It hadn't been long until sirens were heard in the distance. But with that time lost, 2 more people had been shot and killed. Hinata heard a child wailing at the loss of their father. He silently begged that the child would quiet down for the sake of their own life. He felt a squeeze on his hand, pulling him from all of his fears. He met the same eyes that always brought him comfort, although it did little in a situation like that. His dark blue eyes seemed to speak words. The family of 3 were huddled against the wall, attempting to keep each other safe. The robber became unhinged and decided to point his gun towards a civilian once more, but this time it was pointed towards Kageyama. Hinata paled and felt a lump in his throat grow. He forgot to breathe. His heart thundered against his chest at an alarming rate. Don't do it. Don't pull the trigger. Wait, stop! Everyone stared at the ginger with a look of horror. What was he doing? Kageyama stared with wide, frantic eyes, silently begging him to stay silent. Sho, no, she whispered. But that didn't stop him. The robber stared down the small player with wide, deranged eyes. If you want the money, then here. He threw his own wallet down with the tickets. They meant nothing to him. Take it! What was he doing? Shoyo, stop it! He whispered in a hushed voice. They waited too long. The police did nothing outside while people inside are dying. Dying. Lives are being lost and thought nothing of. It's not that simple. Their lives are just casually being brushed aside when they are the most precious things known to mankind. They were cowards. There was only one officer he entrusted his life with, and Daichi wasn't here to help them. You got a lot of nerve talking to me like that. Hinata was face to face with the muzzle of the gun, gazing at his own impending doom. The raven held his arm out in front of his lover, trying to push him back. However, he wouldn't budge. The robber snickered, swooping down, grabbing the spiker's wallet, stomping on the tickets, covering the white pieces of paper with the filth underneath his shoe. At least you followed directions. He glared at Kageyama, who glared back, throwing his own wallet down to the ground. He was lucky he hadn't had much money and accidentally left his bank card at home. Being as well known as they are increased the chances of them being mugged. Yet none of that mattered. No amount of money could replace a life. He glared at Natsu, who was hiding behind her brother. What about her? She has nothing to do with this. He turned on his heel, ready to interrogate another family. Shoyo, what in the... Shh. They weren't in the clear. Not yet. This was going to be rash, but the longer they waited for help to come, the more lives would be lost. He flinched, hearing another bullet enter someone else's flash and the scream bouncing off the walls of the bank. His attention was turned to his little sister behind him, clenching onto his jacket like her very life depended on it. That might actually be the case. Sho, are we going to die? His breath hitched, hearing her voice that was so small he barely heard. He spun his head, seeing tears stream down her freckled cheeks. No, he couldn't let that happen. No, you're not. Tobio. He turned towards his partner, his other half, his life. He sucked in a shuddered breath before he continued speaking. I need your help. What? What are you talking about? He managed to shake his sister's grip off and squeeze her hand in his own. Let me be your decoy once more. One last time. That's all I ask for. Are you crazy? No, Shoyo! I'll be careful, okay? Promise! She had to hush herself so the robber's attention wasn't on them. He smiled warmly at the little girl who wasn't so little anymore. She had her whole life ahead of her. Hinata made it to the top. He fulfilled his dreams and even found love along the way. Natsu still had time, and he refused to let that light die. He turned his head, ignoring her. One day she'll understand. The spiker stood up and swiftly ran and jumped on top of the man's back and clung onto him. Tobio, now! Within seconds, a blur ran past the robber, tackling him to the ground. Natsu watched in horror, hearing the familiar sound of gunshots. Hinata rose to his feet while his lover had successfully detached the robber from his gun, pinning him down. If going back in time was an option, he would have easily gone back to middle school to save the Raven from the dark demons that lurked over him. Maybe they would have found their love for each other sooner. It would have been more time together. He would have seen him and waited, as long as it takes. He likes to think he spent that time as a fool. That was the only plausible answer he had for the way that he could have used that time to hear him out when Kageyama was in obvious need of being heard. He shifted his hand behind his jacket, gripping onto the orange shirt that deepened into a vibrant red. Shoyo? One of the strangers grabbed onto the robber, allowing him to get to Hinata's side. He felt a weight fall from his own 2 feet, like he were towering off a cliff, falling infinitely. The Raven grabbed onto his lover before he crashed onto the ground and lowered him to the floor in his embrace, examining the wound with his hand coming back crimson. No. No, Shoyo, you need to stay awake, okay? Hey, Sho, answer me! His voice was frantic with violent sobs racking through his entire being. The blood leaving his body left him in a shivered state, like a cold hug embracing him to prepare him for death. Tobio, he croaked. I'm right here. I'm here. Somebody help! He shouted at everyone in the bank. Surely at least one of them were a doctor. Nasu ran to the doors, knowing that police were out there. Since this was a robbery, maybe there was an ambulance waiting. He laughed lightly. I guess this is where it ends. No, don't talk like that. It's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. The smuggler reached up, swiping a strand of jet black hair from his line of vision. Such flawless beauty. Kageyama had tender, pale skin, with his deep blue eyes contrasting his fair skin with the silkiest, soft hair framing his face. Sure, he had some imperfections, maybe that small scar on his cheek from an accident when he was a small child, but it was all beautiful. All of it. So fucking beautiful. He wanted the story to end with together, or you and I, but different plans were set in store, like the reader stopping the book in mid-chapter, tucking it away for dust to collect, and soon it will be forgotten. No, I won't allow this. You can't leave me. Please, just hold on. Those blue eyes were an ocean he had to have found himself getting lost in more times than not, his tears watered with brutal emotion. Even now, he didn't mind getting lost. It brought him peace in his final moments. He remembers every expression they shared together, after every win, every defeat, when they got accepted into their teams of choice, when they shared their love, and even now, when it's time to say goodbye. I love you, Tobio. I wanted more time. And you'll get it. You'll get it, so just... I'm dying. I'm not going to make it. He choked on his words, feeling bile rush up to his throat, but swallowed it back down, not ready to give up. Kageyama shuffled through his jacket, pulling out a box. Look, you can't leave yet. He opened the box, revealing a silver band. We still have so much. Please don't do this. Don't leave me. He cried into his ginger hair, cradling back and forth, pleading for his lover's life to be spared. It all fell on deaf ears. Shoyo was dying, and there was no saving that. There was one thing left to do. Shoyo. He leaned against the wall, holding the smuggler close to his chest with their faces merely inches apart while he stroked his cheek as if he were a delicate flower. In this case, he was. We'll meet again. He had to accept this. It was too late. Help wouldn't get here in time. In another lifetime, the next one even. Let's meet again, for the first time. He slid the ring onto his lover's bloodied and cold finger. He nodded frantically, tears welling up and spilling down his cheeks. I would like that. More than anything. Kageyama smiled, placing a soft kiss on the top of his head, feeling the quivering of his body die down and become still. Time stopped. The wind outside became still, The waves in the sea were motionless like the dead of the night where the streets are bare without a person in sight. He sucked in a breath. This was his first breath of air without shoyu. He never wanted this. These were his first tears without shoyu. This was his first heartbreak without shoyu. This was his first moment of helplessness without shoyu. These firsts were unimaginable, nothing but a distant thought that has suddenly been yanked from the deepest parts of his mind. Why so soon? The robber grew loose from the police officer's grasp, reaching for his gun from the officer's belt and aimed it. In every lifetime after this, I won't fail to find you and fall in love with you until we stay. The gun was shot before the robber was detained for the final time, but not without fatally injuring the setter. He slouched to the ground, still holding onto his fiancée. He couldn't help but feel thankful that the wait wouldn't be too much longer. This life grew unbearable in a matter of seconds. Nothing mattered but him. He glanced at his lover's eerily pale face, who still hadn't taken a breath. He hoped it was his imagination. However, that was merely false hope. I'll see you soon, my love. He shut his eyes, letting the darkness invade, and never turned back. Well, you see, whenever I first wrote this, it was supposed to be just Hinata that kind of died, but I'm not too sure what happened with Kageyama. I just kind of went with it. I'm so sorry. I guess this is kind of not a happy ending. Whatever. Anyways, a little announcement. I just posted a TikTok or a YouTube short. I say just, but it was like a week ago by the time this is out, and it got a lot of attention. So I am turning that into a WATTPAD, and yeah, just a WATTPAD story for now before I convert that into eventually a series on here. I do have the first couple of chapters out, so definitely do check that out. And whenever you go into my profile or whatever, I don't even know what it's called, there is an old story. Do not look at that. I just don't. This is before I started my channel that I wrote that, and it's just garbage. I'm so sorry. I will put the link to the current story in the description. My goodness, this is definitely a crazy outro. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you'd like to be kept up to date, check out any of my social medias. I hope that you all have a wonderful day or evening.